Welcome to the Akashic Library.
We've all heard it a million times, right? Love is complicated. It's supposed to be hard. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the real mark of true love is actually simplicity? That's what we're going to get into today. All right, so let's get into it. And we have to start by admitting something about ourselves, right? As humans, we kind of love complicated stuff. I mean, think about it. Neuroscience, abstract art, super experimental theater. We are drawn to things that feel deep and complex, things that hint at the big mysteries of the universe. But here's the thing. That same fascination with complexity, it can be an absolute trap in our personal lives, especially in love. When we start applying that same mindset to our relationships, what we tell ourselves is patience can actually turn into this incredibly painful, time-sucking mess that can literally steal years from us.
So, what does one of these complicated, tormented relationships actually look like? What are the red flags? Let's break down the signs. And as we go through these, I want you to ask yourself, does any of this sound a little too familiar?
Okay, first there's this constant need for, translation. You find yourself spending hours just trying to figure out what they really meant by a totally simple sentence, Gestures that seem so clear suddenly spark these huge fights. It's just exhausting.
And then you've got the partner who's there, but not really. They're there in theory, but never in practice. They might tell you they love you so much, but one look at their calendar, tells a completely different story. They're just always busy, always unavailable, always got something else going on.
And of course, this whole dynamic leads to those classic late-night let's figure this out talks. You know the ones. Maybe you even tried diagramming the relationship on a piece of paper, just trying to make it make sense. But these talks, they almost never end with a breakthrough. They just end, after 1 a.m., leaving you feeling confused, sad, and just completely wiped out.
Before you know it, the relationship becomes this full-time research project. You're talking about your partner with your friends, your therapist, pretty much anyone who will listen. You're constantly speculating about their motives, their childhood. It's like you're an astronomer trying to decode signals from some mysterious far-off galaxy.
And maybe the worst part, the most damaging sign of all, is what it does to you. It makes you doubt yourself. You start asking, wait, am I the problem here? Am I just asking for way too much? You have never felt more weird or broken than when you're with the one person who's supposed to make you feel safe and understood. Okay, so that's the problem. We've diagnosed it, now let's talk about a solution. A really powerful one. There's a totally different way to look at this, a new perspective we're going to call the rule of simplicity.
Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Hold on. Aren't relationships supposed to be hard work? And look, yes, of course they take effort, but that very sensible idea can get twisted into a really dangerous excuse. An excuse to put up with a partner who, frankly, just isn't equipped for a healthy relationship. So here it is, the core idea, the rule of simplicity. And it's this. When you have two people who are mature enough, who have what it takes to function emotionally, love, overall, taken with a bit of perspective, should be simple. Yeah, there's going to be effort, there will be tough moments, but the foundation, the core of it, should feel straightforward and secure. Not like a puzzle you can never solve.
I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got all that constant anxiety, the misunderstandings, feeling broken. And on the other, clear communication, feeling wanted, a feeling of calm. The difference is literally night and day, and that is a difference you absolutely deserve to feel.
Okay, so this is the absolute key takeaway. You have to completely reframe how you see all that complexity. The complexity isn't some puzzle you're supposed to solve. No, the complexity is the answer. It's the signal, the giant flashing sign that something here just isn't right.
And here's a kind of radical thought. Maybe you don't actually need to know why they're like this. All that analysis about their childhood trauma or their attachment style, it's often just a big distraction. The complexity itself, that is the only piece of data you really need.
It's time we stop romanticizing the pain of these questions that have no answers, constantly wondering, where were they? That's not romantic mystery. That's a sign of instability.
And always having to ask, what do they mean by that? That's not deep or poetic, it's just profound and completely unnecessary confusion. And that feeling of waiting by the phone, just wondering when are they going to call, that's not passionate anticipation. It is a massive red flag that something here is fundamentally broken.
I want you to really let this next part sink in, because it just cuts through all the noise. If they love us, we will know it. If they want to be there, they will show up. It really truly can be that simple.
You know, real viable love, it doesn't require a telescope or a detective's magnifying glass. You shouldn't have to become an expert analyst of someone else's entire psyche just to feel loved. When it's right, when it's viable, all told, it's actually pretty obvious.
So, if you find yourself in that cycle, up all night, journaling, analyzing, staring at your phone trying to decode some ambiguous text message, the rule of simplicity has a very direct and maybe difficult conclusion for you. It might not be a sign that you need to try harder. It might just be a sign that you need to get out. Now.
True love isn't intensity, it's consistency. In the next video, we'll break down what emotional maturity actually looks like in practice.